episode 205. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, there are things leaking everywhere right now. We are here, and our Google Doc has not been leaked, so we're good.
Yet.
I
don't know.
We do share the Google Doc, basically, when the show gets posted. But Dave, I'm doing pretty good. It's a couple days before the holiday. This is our last episode of the year. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm on vacation. It feels weird to be on vacation. I had a pretty eventful, just chill weekend. Did some stuff I'll talk about a little later, but I mean, it's just kind of, it feels weird. And then job wise, today is 1 year since I changed jobs. So
look at that. And a year later, you weren't working.
Yeah.
for at least a week.
And ironically, I bought something off of Overstock.com, which is Bed Bath & Beyond now.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was a good price. So, all right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Time on podcast services. We also live stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And our show is officially on Google Music now. That's what it's called, right? YouTube Music. Okay. So yep, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming, where you can watch us live, or you can watch us when we're not live. And then you can also listen on YouTube Music. And then you can also watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where you can follow us on Twitch for free. You can subscribe to us as a paid subscription, or you can link your Amazon account and your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming. And you can get a free sub on a streamer of your choice on Twitch that does not auto-renew. So please consider checking that every 30 days. Like mine just recently expired, so just before we started recording, I re-upped it as I was testing all the Twitches and the YouTube chats and to make sure everything is working. So everything else is linked in the show notes, or you can just go to the website, digitaldaysgaming.com. Our ask of you is anything that's free, and if you enjoy listening to us, to follow, subscribe, and any of those things that are free. That's a huge help. Downloading the show, sharing the show, reposting the show, however you can, show that you're listening to the show or show that you enjoy the show is
Say
helpful
show one
to
more
get.
time.
Show, yeah, to get more people to listen to the show,
Okay.
to listen
I needed
to
that.
us.
Thank you.
Especially, people have a little bit of extra free time right now, or they're doing stuff, they're working on projects as they're kind of on the holiday break, or they're just kind of trying to get away from everything, or they want something kind of interesting to listen to while they're waiting in line holiday shopping. I don't know. Any of those things to just to help grow DDG. And you can also click on the show notes and join the community through Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, PayPal. All that stuff is there for you guys to check out. All right, so we're going to jump into some news.
Yeah, Dave, so we were talking a little bit before we recorded about how we would exactly handle this, but we're going to go with the thing of let's just lightly talk around some of these things. But if you are interested in superhero stuff, there's a ton of stuff that is being leaked currently. The first one we'll talk about briefly is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Some data mining may have happened from the alpha, and some other things may have happened, and that has led to a ton of spoilers for the game to be out there just a couple months before release. Rocksteady had to come out and just kind of warn fans of hey, the spoilers you see, might not necessarily be the most current thing that they're doing, but also they are legitimate spoilers that are out there. I won't tell you guys what has been spoiled or popped up, but it's significant stuff for the story. I wasn't even looking for it, Dave. I was just on TikTok, and TikTok is just the Wild West, and I got, full dialogue and cutscenes and images that were data mined, just spoiled some major story points. And it's, it's one of those things where it's not the full story that's been leaked. It's just parts of it have been leaked, and it very much feels like the Last of Us Part 2 situation, where little tidbits leaked ahead of the game's release, and then everyone made their opinions about what they thought about the game from those leaks, and just assume they had the full picture, which we found out otherwise that they didn't quite have the full picture. But Dave, it seems like you have been safe from the Suicide Squad leaks somewhat?
I have,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, completely, because I wasn't even aware that they had really leaked. So, I was actually going to ask if they've done like an episode 2 of that thing
They
that
did.
they were
They did.
doing.
They
They
might be
did.
on episode
Okay.
3, and then I think they're taking a
Okay.
break from it for a
All
couple
right.
weeks.
I need to catch up on that to see if it's still gonna like hold my interest and pique my interest. It moved up okay, so Suicide Squad moved up my list. It was always anticipated. I was a little worried about the live service thing when I saw the first demo of it before multiple delays or whatever, when it had like the Borderlands-ish feel to it. I was a little apprehensive. The last thing they showed us, or last thing that I saw, that episode 1 of that was very positive for me. So I need to dig into this, if there's an episode 2 and an episode 3 and see that. And then it also significantly moved up my interest level when Destiny 2 Final Shape got delayed all the way till June, because it was going to be in the same month as Destiny the Final Shape. So for something to hold my attention for a couple months or even a month, I'm hoping that Suicide Squad can still do that. So it's definitely high on my list. And I was really, really impressed with what I saw in that first episode.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like there hasn't been an episode 2, but there's been like 5 or 6 little mini trailers for each character that's been released, and then some costume trailers as well. So it looks like they took a little bit of break, and now after these leaks, I wonder if they're gonna have to reconfigure things. But just like you, I was like skeptical of it. I can't talk about the alpha, but like I enjoyed the alpha enough to where I'm like, okay, this seems like a co-op experience that I will look forward to playing with other people. The spoilers do kind of ruin some things for me, but I am not the biggest DC fan compared to my Marvel fandom, so like I can deal with the spoilers that popped up for the most part. But again, if you are interested in the game story, you're gonna have to mute stuff on Twitter. You're gonna have to maybe just find, I don't know if you can mute things on TikTok. I think you can just say don't recommend.
Swipe faster.
Yeah, so if you see stuff if you see Harley Quinn, just swipe real quick.
Yeah.
So because there's just a lot of stuff out there. The only thing that sucks is it seems like this was mostly just data mined from the alpha, which anytime that happens, Dave, I always question of just like, why is that data in the alpha?
Because if it's supposed to be a live service game, a lot of that stuff, like, so it pretty much what comes down to it, and like this is stuff that's been happening, is that if you really start looking into stuff, like into your most recent games, hardly anything is actually saved data, multiplayer game wise, is not even saved on your console or your PC. Yeah. It's just you're just saved on the server. Therefore, when you're saved on the server, they can upload to the server, and they have to, like, that's just how it functions. And then people know how to get into the server. Like that's the part that sucks. You can't keep it off the server, because the counterpart to it is that then when you do release content, you release this massive patch. And if you're only releasing, let's say that your plans are to upload content like once a month, because we've learned, and I don't think it's as bad as it used to be, but we've learned that patching is expensive.
Yeah.
So let's say you do it once every 2 months or once a month, and you're doing a 10 gig patch, then people are just going to mine the hell out of it like they have. I mean, this has happened in Destiny forever.
Yeah.
To where like now the community is like, oh, you have I don't even know what the number is. Oh, you have a 30 gig patch. You're definitely putting something in there hidden. I'm going to go find it.
Yeah. This is one of those leaks where it's like when like full voice dialogue lines are being leaked out there, it's just like, damn, you couldn't have found a way, just like, hey, while we're running the server check, let's just remove dialogue from this. Like it's just kind of
in order to make the alpha go live, like it, and this is the difference between alpha, betas, and demos, because demo is an independent slice, that's like its own box, and alphas and betas aren't. Like they're the game. And then the other reason I'm super intrigued about this for February is because I got into the beta, but I didn't play it. But Skull and Bones feedback over the last couple of days is not positive.
Surprise from that one.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was something that was like, hey, it's finally coming out, and I'm paying attention to it. But a couple of people that I know that played, I got in, but I didn't play it. Yeah. I kind of forgot. And it actually has a release date in February as well. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, I'm sure I'll play it, but I'm just curious of how it's going to hold, or what it's going to do, or like this is a DOA. I think this is a DOA game, Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I think Skull and Bones will be. I don't know if Ubisoft would see enough things in there to do the Ubisoft thing of like, hey, in 2 years, Skull and Bones is going to be really good.
Yeah.
It just might disappear. Suicide Squad, though, like I felt like it was just turning the corner in terms of getting excitement, and the stuff that ended up leaking out has turned parts of the community very angry at the game, and it's basically put people in that spot they were for The Last of Us Part 2. We're like, hey, we're going to judge things off this very few bits of info we have.
Which sucks. It sucks for the devs. It sucks for the narrative directors. It sucks for the writers that are like, well, you're not seeing they want to say something, but they can't say something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
which is why Rocksteady it's like,
not...
hey, like this is legitimate, but like we have a story that we're hoping to tell. But
are you of the camp though that I've seen some of this conversation similar tied to the Insomniac leaks that I know you're going to get to a little bit, and I don't want to spend too much time on those. I see this position on Twitter the last couple of days of like, if you have information that you think is going to get leaked, just release it. Just talk about it. Just do a showcase. Like, you know, like GTA shouldn't have like told everybody like 3 weeks in advance that the trailer was coming. Like, if you're going to tell us 3 weeks in advance is coming, just release it.
Those are people that just don't understand the amount of work and effort that goes into making a trailer or presenting things correctly. Like, I'm sure, like, Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad or Rocksteady, Insomniac would love to just put a photo out, be like, we're doing this. But if they just put a photo out or a small statement being like, hey, this is everything that we're working on right now, people are going to be like, no trailer. And it's just like that. Takes time. You have to, most time trailers aren't even done in-house. They're done through like a third party, and it
I agree with
but
you.
I agree. Like people are like, oh,
you're gonna get Watch Dogs 1 mentality.
Yeah, like people are expecting Insomniac before Christmas to put together like a whole trailer for Wolverine, and it's just like, no, they need time to do that and put a trailer together for Wolverine, and then make their other announcements that require them to work with partners.
Right.
But yeah, no, I see like that mentality of just like just release everything, and it's just like it's just not how it works.
It's your next bullet point anyway. So there's a huge difference between what's going on with Rockstar and what's going on with Insomniac. Like Insomniac got hacked.
Yeah.
And then held hostage.
Yeah, so for Insomniac, about 2 weeks ago, a hacking organization basically revealed that they ransomwared Insomniac, told Insomniac they have 7 days to pay roughly $2 million, or they would release terabytes of information. This information included like legal paperwork, financial records, employee information. It includes like passports, as well as like video game footage, alphas, assets, all sorts of things. Insomniac and PlayStation did not pay that because it's just one of those things. You don't pay this sort of thing because it's not a guarantee they won't still release that information, and also tells everyone else like, hey, they're weak, go for them. And then it's a domino effect that most companies don't want to play with. And
ultimately they didn't know really what they had or didn't have either.
They showed some of the stuff they had, and it must not have been anything scary enough that Insomniac or PlayStation are like, oh shit, we got to take care of this. And for the most part, like, I don't think PlayStation or Insomniac cares about like the game assets that got out because they're so early build that it doesn't really matter. But what they do care about is like the employee information getting put out there, and also some contractual things that are now put out there that they probably shouldn't, or they were probably under NDA before they can announce. So basically Insomniac didn't pay, and then all this stuff got some of it got sold, and then a majority of it just got posted online. So this is another warning of just like, hey, if you cared about like Wolverine spoilers, future of like Spider-Man, future Insomniac games, future Ratchet and Clank info, like all that's out there now, and it puts Insomniac in a really weird spot where their next 10 years, like, they can't surprise anyone anymore. And all this stuff is concrete enough that they're not going to like pivot their plans.
The thing that sucks the most about this is like seeing a roadmap like this, and I'm gonna speak as vague as I can speak. And it's awful what happened to the human element here, by the way. Like it's terrible. So like, but seeing a roadmap like this is essentially setting Insomniac up for failure. because if they fall behind at all, like every game studio does, people are going to be like, "Hey, it's June 2027. Where's blah 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 blah?
Yeah.
Like where's my trailer?
We have that
blah, blah.
paperwork
It's
that says it's supposed to be here. Yeah.
And it's just awful. And I'm also concerned. Like, if you want to delve into it, you can delve into it. As a listener, you can just search Wolverine on Twitter or whatever, and you can find whatever you want to find. But, I don't know if I like knowing what a studio is doing for the next 12 years.
Yeah, because that's so far in advance. Like, what is it? It's almost meaningless.
I mean, I'll
at
be
a certain
50.
Point. Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I immediately I think back to like you think back to other studios like tying back to Naughty Dog a little bit. Like Naughty Dog, it came out that they didn't really want to work on Uncharted anymore. They kind of were bored with Uncharted. Bungie was bored doing Halo. Like they wanted to express themselves. Not saying that Insomniac can't express themselves through this, but knowing like I don't know if I would want to know like at my job, like give me the next 10 years of promotions that the company's going to run. Like I don't know if I want to know that.
Yeah, because
like
it's a plans change and now this stuff's out there, and like you said, that people are going to expect certain things from it, and there's certain stuff that like I'll say this, like it does, like the roadmap does go to like 2035. So the idea that like there's people that are upset that they're gonna have to wait a certain amount of time for stuff, but then there's gonna be people upset that like stuff might not actually happen, and then they're gonna reference a hack from 12 years ago, being like, "Where's this shit?"
And I'm concerned for the cadence for Insomniac. That cadence is crazy.
Yeah, I think there's like
it's like every other.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like there's like maybe 1 to 2 year gaps.
Yep. Yeah. This is the and this is the Marvel movie timeline crap all over again that we got like 5 years ago.
Well, but this is what companies do.
The Phase 4 and Phase 5. Yeah, but not video game companies.
Activision did that, but they eventually made it to where more companies worked on Call of Duty. PlayStation is looking at Insomniac like, you were our only studio that can do this, and we're gonna hope we don't burn you out, because like the amount of plans, and it sucks because I hate that I looked at the stuff, but like I couldn't avoid it when I'm like looking for news, because some websites are just like, here's everything. And
well,
and there's stuff that I would love to fucking talk about right now, because there's some cool stuff.
It's not right to the gaming community. It's not right. The things that I do that I would, and I don't know how. Do you want to talk about the financials that were released for prior games? Did you see
I saw that, and so basically, without going into it, but like we found out like how much they actually made from their Xbox deal, which I think is misleading, because it's like, here's the profit, but it doesn't. It shows how
talk about how much Xbox gave them to make.
No, like that is vaguely there, how much the game costs. So it's just like, technically that's what, like, people think that like if you're a developer, like you're an engineer, you don't care like what the game does. You care what the game does, but most of your base pay is done for the work you're doing now. Like, if that makes sense. You have a yearly salary, so as long as your yearly salary is coming in,
your job is to engineer the game, not to worry about how the game sells. You're just
there's
to make
bonuses
sure the game runs
attached to that, but for the most part, you're just like, as long as my yearly salary's paid, I don't give a shit. And I think there's a lot of people making a huge deal out of like what they made from the Xbox game. We did get sales figures for that from this, and also other, like, now we know too much about like the Marvel deal with Insomniac and Sony, and like what that means, and it also kind of takes some of the excitement from like who's going to be working on what for certain stuff. I
was kind of more fascinated by the Ratchet stuff.
I didn't see the Ratchet stuff. I just saw the Sunset Overdrive stuff.
It lost it lost a lot of money.
It's not surprising for like a launch title to be the one that loses money. Well, just like if you look at it, like Sunset Overdrive has a lot of mechanics that Spider-Man was built on. So like it was okay for that to fail because Spider-Man.
I'll tell you right now though, if I had to bet a paycheck, I would have bet that Ratchet and Clank was a more successful game than Sunset Overdrive, and it wasn't.
The official figures.
I know, right? Yeah. So, I mean, depending, like, as based on what the headlines are saying.
Yeah.
So, but it's just this is going back to the Epic thing. This is going back to like going all the way back. Like this is what happens when video game companies get in court. This Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft stuff. Like we're finding out about stuff that we should have no business knowing about, knowing about, and it's spreading faster than it ever has before because of how the internet works right now. And it's just kind of it's crazy. Like I don't want to know anymore about Tim Sweeney fighting against Google. Like I mean I don't want to know how much Epic pays to. Because now the immediate question is, like, just as an example, so Epic is giving away, like, the Destiny Legacy Collection on the Epic Store. And people are like, oh, look, Epic's doing what Bungie should have been doing. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, it's bad. And the amount of money that, it's just the hypocrites out there of like, I can't believe that Xbox spent that much money on that. Oh, okay, but like you're okay with Sony spending that much money on that?
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what's happening. And like it's just funny seeing like some of the stuff that did leak and seeing some of the reactions of people being like, "Oh, that's gonna," like people are already making their judgments based on that.
And then they're comparing apples to tangerines. Like it's just awful.
Yeah.
Like I saw some comparison to Blade and what's going on with Insomniac. I'm like, not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. Like you cannot. I'm sorry. Like Blade is an amazing character. He does not hold a candle to Spider-Man. Like he can't even like.
But people acting like Blade is like the.
Well, if Sony paid this much for that, how much did Microsoft pay for that? Not that much.
Yeah, not that much. And it also like you're like, do you think Insomniac's put in a position where like they acknowledged that the thing happened, but do you think there's any sort of expectation from them to just like kind of confirm certain things at this point? Or
I do.
No.
I think so. I think Tim Price is gonna have to come and come out and do like a video.
No,
like
we don't need to see
10,
footage.
a 10-minute video,
but like needs to just be.
But
like,
he needs to like he's the face, he's the owner of Insomniac, the CEO or whatever. And if he's gonna sit next to whoever the new Jim Ryan is or whatever, but I mean it's his studio. Like he and he needs to come out and say, hey, this happened. It's unfortunate. This is what's out there. Yes, those are, that's what
we're working
doing.
on it. Be patient, sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. It goes back to the same thing of like Microsoft has a document on how to buy all these companies. We should have never have known that.
Yeah. Hey,
so.
You know what? Thanks, Jim Ryan. It puts him in a weird spot because it's just like, again, like I don't think it matters that Wolverine footage leaked, especially its alpha footage. It's like, okay, it hurts that like Insomniac,
especially if it's less than 12 months away, which we believe it is.
We have timeline stuff, but like the idea, like it sucks that they couldn't get their like reveal the way they wanted it, but in terms of like alpha footage of a game isn't going to be a deal breaker, so they can almost ignore all the Wolverine stuff if they wanted, and it's just mostly about addressing post Wolverine, because now people have expectations for stuff that they shouldn't have because we shouldn't know.
And for the record, we've been saying that Wolverine's holiday next year. Like that's the point that I was referencing, is that we've been.
I know, and then in my head, I'm just like, I fucking saw the fucking documents because I was on Twitter, and I just, I was like, why is Insomniac trending? Oh dear God.
Yeah. I thought about messaging you, like stay away.
Yeah. Man, there's some stuff that is in those documents that I would have been really excited to see a trailer at an E3 or. Not E3.
Yeah, something.
That now when it comes, I'm gonna be like, okay. But we'll move on from that.
Well, I just feel like if they do it, like to your point, like if they do a state of play in like 3 months and there's nothing in there, people are like, what the hell?
Yeah, even if it's just a logo of just like, hey.
But they're gonna be like, what?
We already know it exists.
The graph says this. Like, why aren't you? Because now
because then like if they don't acknowledge some stuff that got leaked, then every time there's a state of play. For the next 5 years, people are going to be like, why wasn't this here?
It's the Last Guardian.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. But we'll move on to the next story, which happened the day after we recorded, which I was just like, damn it, they did it on purpose. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us live service game has been canceled. So after years of development, Naughty Dog announced they will be canceling The Last of Us multiplayer game. They claim that the resources would take the entire studio to support their vision and make a live service game, which is some stuff that we had previously heard of with like Bungie. It was determined that that the game needed to be canceled so they can focus on single player games. Insomniac is reportedly working on, I believe it's a new IP as well as something else. The game has been in pre-production since development of The Last of Us Part 2. So they started to mention it in like 2016 and then 2018. And a reveal was reportedly in the works for this year. But that's also when we kind of heard about the Bungie taking a look at it, though I don't think it's Bungie's fault. That's one thing I wanted to start off at the beginning. A lot of people are blaming Bungie, and I think they're putting too much weight into Bungie. Like, Bungie did not make the decision. Bungie shared their opinion.
But I also think that Bungie told them, like, hey, this is good.
Yeah.
But can you maintain this? Like, that was the question. Like, I think that's the conversation that the heads of, like, Naughty Dog had with the Bungie team of, like, hey, like, our last 9 years have been 150% this. 150%. We were not able to do anything else.
Yeah.
And, you know, so Naughty's like, oh, no, we'll be fine. And I think they're like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Between patches and balancing and updating and you know, like, it just turns into, like, did Naughty Dog want to become factions only?
And I think that's what it kind of came down to in terms of, like, there's a narrative now that Bungie are the bad guys in the situation.
Yeah.
But Bungie was asked, like, is there stickiness? And it was probably like, eh. And then also, like, is this something that can be maintained for several years? And they were like, not unless you want to, you know, like you said, 150% through this. Right. And, you know, like, Jim Ryan didn't go to Bungie and go, like, yes or no, cancel. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down. They probably gave him some data, and they're like, okay, we took this information in, and then we looked at everything. And then Naughty Dog themselves didn't sound like they were really too happy with doing a live service game at this scale. Right. And they were just like, it's just not worth it for them.
Well, let's be realistic here. So we're talking about 2024. It's essentially 2024 right now as we're recording. Yeah. And this has been in development since 2016.
In pre-production, 2016.
Yeah, so 2018. Yeah. Let's say 2018. Okay. Now, in terms of a quote-unquote live service game, if you had to guess right now before they canceled it, how much content was ready? Because if it was me, I'm guessing maybe 9 to 12 months.
I think so. I would say 6 to 12.
4 seasons. Yeah,
because some stuff is leaked out in terms of, like, the menus have leaked out now. And this isn't, like, leaked out, like, this is people that were let go that are like, hey, I can talk about this now because it's a canceled project. Right. So, like, main menu stuff was leaked. There's some battle pass stuff that was leaked as well. Mm-hmm. So it looks like it was close to content ready, but the problem is this isn't just part of one package. Like, this isn't Factions 1 where it's just part of the single player game. This is something that was supposed to be standalone and last several months and
years.
Well, at least in terms of, like, what they released.
Yeah.
That day.
So my point is, it's taken them 4 years to essentially get 1 year of content done. So how would they? How?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, the amount of content that if they were to release tomorrow, like, how long that content would last, and then they have to just get started on, you know, year 2, year 3 right now, and it ultimately just didn't work out. And I think this comes down to just, like, the Sony plan the last couple of years of the live service games. It wasn't really thought through. It was just like, hey, you can make games. You make really good.
You're trying to take a baseball player and make him a basketball player.
Yeah. They're like, hey, you can do this, so also you can do this as well. And I almost feel like that's why the PlayStation spending spree seems so random the last 2 years, because they were just like, shit, we need bodies and we need live service people. And that kind of, it almost makes it feel like a lot of money was wasted in terms of, like, what their plans were, especially now that they're, like, pivoting away
100%
from those plans.
I mean, like, how much do you think that they spent on this development? Like, if you had to guess, like, how much money was put into Factions? 250 mil?
I would probably say it's probably, like, it's at least over 100 mil. Yeah.
I mean, I know you talked about it, like, the engineer just moves on to engineering something else now. So, like, he's paid regardless, you know, but, you know, specifically put into Factions, whether it was character development. Yeah, they probably did save some of this. Like, let's be real, they knew this was being canceled when they did the Last of Us 2 remaster. And they, to your point a couple weeks ago, they probably took 80% of what, and 60% of what
Several
they were
months ago,
working
yeah.
on, and put it in that roguelite.
Yeah.
In that roguelite content that's coming out next month. That's probably the salvageable part. Like, sure, there was probably a larger scale scope.
And they
of
said
it.
in their statement of like, hey, we learned a lot from this, and we'll be able to implement this in future projects, because it's like the work's done. So.
But we've been talking about this for years. They weren't able to support the other multiplayer, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3's multiplayer. They weren't able to support that and sustain that Last of Us 1's multiplayer enough to where even when they re-released the games, they couldn't still like support that multiplayer. And I didn't see the talent going into Naughty Dog to support this.
There was actually, they pulled some League of Legends people into it at a certain point. There was a lot of people that came over for Uncharted 4's multiplayer that I believe then left. Because I think they were told like some grand vision that wasn't there during 2016. Right. And then it's one of those things where when they were working on the Factions 2 or whatever in 2016 pre-production, I think they were going in with the idea of like, we're just going to do a multiplayer thing. Yep. And then as live service games took off, Fortnite and all that stuff, they're like, no, we need to do seasonal content. And then they tried to hire some people in. And then at that point, it's just kind of what like EA's been doing with like BioWare, in terms of like, they keep telling and pivoting, the plans. And at a certain point, who knows how much content had to be thrown out. Or
they just grab like corporations, like Sony's doing it to Insomniac right now. Sony was doing it to Naughty Dog. EA's doing it to Respawn. Is that them? Respawn. Yeah. They're like, oh, you're capable. You're doing great. We're just gonna keep squeezing you until you either burst or you release the content.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna squeeze the sponge until they get the liquid out or until it's dry.
Yeah, and then they kind of swing for the fences of like, okay, you need help with multiplayer stuff. We want to make this live service game. Spend $2 billion on Bungie. Now, spend $2 billion on Bungie. It's going to make us more money. And Jim Ryan was saying like the Bungie acquisition will make more money than the Bethesda deal closed or the Activision deal closed for. And then also
doesn't look like it right now.
And then all those other studios that like in between like Bungie and Insomniac's purchases, like it sounds insulting. It's a term I use, but like it felt like they bought a bunch of auxiliary studios to help their main studios do live service games and do stuff. Sure, there's a Haven that's going to have their own game and the Concord game as well. But for the most part, it felt like they were getting support studios to try and bolster their main studios as opposed to just building like a new studio that can do live service games. They were just under the impression of like, if we just throw bodies at Naughty Dog, I mean, they basically gave bend to Naughty Dog at a certain point of just like, hey, just get this through. And there was just a lack of understanding. And this closing, I saw some people talking about this. You might have mentioned it as well. I can't remember. This now makes it seem more and more like Jim Ryan was kind of pushed out.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
Like, this is very similar to Jim Ryan to
Sean Layden.
The other guy, this Sean Layden. Like after Sean Layden left, we saw all this other stuff, and you're like, huh? Yeah. And now Jim Ryan's announced he's leaving, and now we're seeing all this stuff. We're like, huh?
But the Sean Layden stuff was like, hey, we're expanding in certain points. The Jim Ryan departure is like, we're focusing and we're trimming fat, and it sucks because like trimming fat in business terms means bodies and like humans, and also games being removed. So I don't know what's going on with PlayStation, because now, Dave, this is canceled. We were talking about Factions 2 or whatever it was going to be called being the next release from Naughty Dog, because it's going to take them several years to release their product after that. Yep. Now we're probably like 3 or 4 years away from Naughty Dog's next release.
That's all right. I mean, Naughty Dog's next thing that releases next month. They're fine.
Yeah, but that was the conversation of just like, oh, once they get Factions out, then they'll be able to work on, the next single player game. But now it's just like that next single player game needs to hit, which you probably will. But
they're gonna do a Lost Legacy style Uncharted continuation, like that's something. Yeah, like between now and like their new IP or whatever, Last of Us 3. like part 3, if that's 3 years away, we're gonna get some type of Lost Legacy Miles Morales style thing.
Yeah, it just sucks because you probably can't do that for like the Last of Us franchise because it's such a dark. But
Right.
like an Uncharted thing could fit in there.
Like a Sully story.
Yeah. Or if you tell them like, hey, how fast could you guys do a Jack and Dexter game? Just so we can have something coming out of that studio, because at a certain point, like, studio spends time working on a game, that means money's going into the studio but not producing anything, and then that's when, you know, it's that what have you done for me lately mentality that a lot of businesses run on. So it puts Naughty Dog in a weird spot of like, can we go, it's 3 years since their last game released, can they go 6 or 7 years in between releases?
Can Sony let them?
Yeah. Will Sony let them? And is Sony kind of obligated to like, we can't hurt Naughty Dog. Like, we would take such a cred hit if Naughty Dog were to go away or something. But man, the next state of play is going to be interesting. If there's going to be one in the future, like the next 6 months or something, because now at this point I'm like, they have nothing to announce, nothing to reveal, nothing to shadow drop.
Yeah, and what sucks is that it looks like this remaster that they're doing for Last of Us Part 2 sounding very, very good. Mm-hmm. And I've heard nothing but praise for this God of War DLC.
Yeah.
Like, it's beefy. And it was free. And you know, now I'm wondering why. And maybe this was why. They're doing the compliment sandwich. Like, they knew they had some bad news coming. And they was like, well, hey, if we give them this, maybe they'll just like pay attention over there longer.
Yeah.
So. All right. So, yep. Again, please tread lightly. We're trying to speak vaguely as we can about stuff. There is a lot of information out there, you know, that is, you know, harmful to the employees. And then the sucky part too is feeding into these leaks, like giving these websites and stuff like that the hits and the engagement is, you know, like whoever did this to Insomniac is like, oh, look at all the attention we're getting, even though they're not really getting attention because we don't really know who did it. At least I didn't see who did it. You know, but it just, like, to your point, now it kind of just feeds that, like now they're probably like, oh, who can we get next?
Oh yeah, no, and that's a thing that especially there's some videos that kind of go about like how this was like how the leaks from Insomniac were done. And it sucks because it looks like it's pointing to remote work stuff, which is something we talked about previously, of just like, this is going to have ramifications in terms of like companies might be less relaxed.
Somebody got into somebody's OneDrive.
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, this sort of thing is just going to fuel the next company from being like, we're not doing remote anymore, which is just going to make the industry feel smaller because it's going to require people to, you know, like, why we've been able to get some good games the last couple of years is because there were no travel in terms of like, if there's a great engineer in Europe, he does not have to move to California, or she doesn't have to move to California.
He can just live off the Google Doc and make the stuff and send it to us, and then we can give him feedback while he's sleeping, and he can work on it while we're sleeping.
Yeah, and now we're at a point where it's just going to be like, companies are going to be like, no, it's too risky. Look what happened to Insomniac. You need to move to San Francisco, the hellscape that is San Francisco, to develop.
Yep. You need to go own a tent on the street corner.
Yeah. Like, do you need to deal with San Francisco lifestyles? But it's going to put some companies on the defensive, and hopefully like bolster at least like some of the basic stuff that they could do, which seems like might not have been happening, like multi-factor authentication stuff and other things similar to that. So it's going to be kind of, this is going to have ramifications. This is like the biggest hack that I think has happened in the game industry in a really long time. So we're going to see like waves from this going on. Like, I'm sure GDC talks are now being formed in terms of like how to protect yourself.
Just the news the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, between layoffs, studio, like, we didn't really even talk about it the day after, studio that like released their game and then shut down the day after.
Yeah. Well, there was some scamming going on with that for the day before game.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm just saying like layoffs, that happening, the hack happening, like just and the Activision Blizzard stuff going through. It's just that the multi-billion-dollar businesses are looking. Everybody's like, oh, look at them, they're struggling, and it's like, okay, it's just,
we didn't even talk about
just puts a bad light into gaming. So
and it's weird because like this year in terms of like games that we can play, one of the best years ever. But when you look at it from the industry side, it's probably one of the worst years industry wide in terms of like if you're
I think
working.
Last stat I saw was like 10,000 people in the gaming industry were laid off this year.
It's close to 10,000.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and Embracer's like a good chunk of that. Embracer like literally a couple weeks ago were like, we might close a studio before Christmas, which is the most fucked up thing to say. And then they did. They closed the Time Splitter studio, which is just like, what the fuck. The fact that like it was like a mystery for Embracer, like what studio is going to be closed.
Couldn't wait until February.
Yeah. But yeah, that is it for the news.
All right. So onto what's delayed. Fallout 4's next gen update. Okay.
Yeah. So this one's kind of funny because they had announced last year that the next gen update was going to hit sometime this year, and I think Bethesda kind of forgot about it because people were like, "Oh, it might be a Christmas reveal, it might be a Christmas drop," and then Bethesda, like with 18 days left in the month, were like, "About that Fallout 4 update."
Oh, we're going on break in 4 days, and we ain't ready.
Yeah, that's going to happen next year now. So sometime 2024. So not even a real timeline on that, but it was just one of those ones where I feel like it was on someone's calendar at Bethesda's office, and they were just like
the reminder went off, like shit.
I forgot that I said this was gonna come. So yeah, Fallout 4's next gen update, which I'm kind of excited for, just because I would love to revisit Fallout 4. And as soon as I heard there's an update coming last year, I was like, I'm gonna put brakes on that and try again later.
All right, so that is our news and what's been delayed. So we're going to jump into what we're planning and watching. And if it's all right with you, I'll go first. Okay, so I started vacation, and on Saturday, I went into Canada for the first time since the pandemic. Full disclosure, Canada is like 10 minutes from where I live, 20 minutes. Most of that time is spent waiting to get into waiting for Border Patrol. So it's really not even that far at all. But Angela and I had tickets to Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, and that was at a Caesars Windsor casino. Windsor is essentially a suburb of Detroit in Canada. And so we went over across the border earlier in the day, and we went shopping in a mall. And the malls in Canada are actually pretty healthy in terms of like tenants and and for it being as close as it was. And then I was like legitimately, other than like landing a plane or when I had connection flights in Vegas, it was I want to say it was my first time in a casino.
Okay.
So we didn't do anything, and just because we could have, we talked about it, but then honestly, like Angela and I didn't really see how to spend money. Because we didn't have any cash, so I didn't see an ATM.
The ATMs are usually like in each little pod area. There's an ATM.
Yeah, but we didn't see one, and then so I thought maybe it was like that Dave and Buster's like digital card thing.
They do have those as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so didn't see that, and we were hungry, so we went and got some food, and then went into the show. Whether you like him or don't like him, a comedian in person with the environment, it was great.
Oh
we
yeah,
enjoyed it. We laughed
Fluffy.
a lot.
Like people give him shit, but he's like, I don't want it. Stereo sounds too weak, but in terms of just like, he's funny enough. Like I don't think anyone out there hates him. Like he.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we enjoyed it. It was kind of a little bit of an impulse thing. About a month ago that we decided to do, and we bought them. Got a pretty good deal on them, and then getting across the border was significantly easier than what we've heard or recalled. Getting back home wasn't hard either. Just don't bring tobacco or alcohol, and you're fine.
Yeah.
So thankfully we have those enhanced license, and then. So I've started to get a couple Christmas gifts from coworkers and friends and stuff, and somebody bought me a $25 Xbox gift card. So, and at the same time that happened, I saw the trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle skins in Fortnite. And I've had a couple friends that have been kind of poking at me to play Fortnite. Willie, who I play Destiny with, Palmer plays Fortnite. And there's actually been some pretty positive stuff around Fortnite the last, couple weeks, as well as Lego Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Or Fortnite Lego, whatever we want to call it, and the rocket racing. So I was like, okay. So I started digging into it a little bit, and like season pass doesn't cost this much. The skins were a little pricey, but I was like, I really like the turtles and all the other stuff in Fortnite. I was like, don't care about. So I bought it. I played it today. That was a little bit of a pain. So full disclosure, my I don't even know how my Epic account on PlayStation is linked to a PS Nation email.
Okay.
Which I thought I had forwarding set up on that email, but even if I do, I don't think that email exists
that
or
email
even
is dead, Dave.
doesn't work anymore. So we've had to submit a ticket to get that essentially that my PSN Epic link unlinked so that I can link my new email. And then I'm like, all right, fine. I watched the thing on YouTube or whatever. I was like, if I'm gonna play this, I'm probably gonna primarily play it downstairs anyways, like on my PC. So I went to the Epic launcher, downloaded it, and I linked all my accounts and I redeemed my Xbox gift card, which you can do on Windows 10 PC store as well with your Microsoft account. So then I signed in and I went to purchase V-Bucks. I knew I was gonna have to spend a little bit more than the gift card. Went a bit like we've been talking about for weeks. Went immediately to Epic Store. No money in the Epic wallet. Nothing like that. No way to link it to the Microsoft Store. So then I had to go upstairs and download it on my Xbox. Yeah. to then redeem the money on there and then wait for it to sync up. And it finally did sync up. So currently right now, my Epic account is linked to my Xbox Live account, and my Epic account. Obviously.
And the PlayStation account's just in the ether because you're waiting for a ticket to be responded to.
Correct.
They're not going to give it to you, Dave. I hate to spoil. They're not giving you.
I mean, if I can't play it on the PlayStation, that's fine. I don't own anything because at first I was like, Angela was just like, I'm just going to delete the account. And even then, it's like, oh, we sent an email we sent a verification email to this email for you to delete the account. And she's like, I don't have access to that email.
Yeah.
So if they unlink it, great. If they don't, then I just don't play Fortnite.
It's why I don't have my gamer tag on Xbox, is because it's linked to like an AOL email that like doesn't exist anymore, and I just hope it gets loosened up.
What I was hoping though is that I haven't ventured into the Switch yet. I'm kind of concerned about that. I haven't ventured into the Switch yet because I might not because I don't think I'm going to play it on the Switch. If I was going to play it on the Switch, I'll play it on the ROG.
Yeah.
Which I can do. But then it also gives me the ability to play the game with Owen, so that Owen can still have his Epic account that he has on his Switch and on the PlayStation, on his profile, his PSN profile that he has. So I'm okay with that. If I have to, because I'm slowly but surely, I've been between the ROG and my gaming PC. It's just easier to play on the PC. I got to update drivers and make sure certain things aren't working. But if I'm planning on streaming some of it. I've played probably 10 matches of Fortnite. I've won 4 of them. I know I'm playing bots.
Yeah. Someone was so worried about breaking your heart, but you're like, I yeah. It's a good trick though that Epic does in terms of just hey. You're going to play bots. You're going to get confident. You're going to hopefully buy the Battle Pass during this time that you're feeling confident. And then the 10-year-olds will beat the shit out of you.
But ultimately, I'm fine with it if I'm able to jump online with a couple friends of mine 1 or 2 days a week and play.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
And if that costs, I don't even know, there's some Epic monthly thing. If it costs me $11 or $12 a month and I'm having fun with my friends, I don't think.
And you at least
not that
know...
money isn't an object, but money is an object, and finances are a thing. But if it's $12 for me to $2 a week or $3 a week for me to have fun with my friends, I'd spend way more than that if I went to the bar or went golfing all the time or drugs, hunting.
That's what I always. Anytime I buy a Switch game, it's this could be hardcore drugs, but it's a Switch game. I'm not gonna play.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm fascinated by Epic's ability, what they're doing. They're the gold standard, man.
Well, you at least know if you do go that route, hey, there's gonna be content flowing into this thing. Whether it's the knockoff Rock Band, the Rocket League thing, the Lego thing.
The turtle skins look awesome.
Yeah.
They link to Lego, so if Owen plays on the Xbox and builds his Lego world, he can play as a Ninja Turtle, and I'm sure there's some Lego Ninja Turtle layer he can build. I don't know. It's super interesting. I haven't tried Rocket Racing yet, but people are praising that.
Yeah.
I don't see as many people playing that, but I mean, I think you said it was similar to
Onrush is what I was going to compare it to a lot.
Yeah. So I think it's super solid. I've been messing around with Destiny here and there. They released some exotic mission today, so I've been pretty content playing Fortnite. I'm already I bought the pass last night, and I think I'm level 10 already. And like I said, I think I get a level per match.
Nice.
I'm sure that the first 0 to 10, 0 to 20, 0 to 30 XP is easier than the 70 to 100. I get it, but I was kind of clicking through the battle pass, and it's fine. I think you can, if you get to 100, I think you can redeem enough V-Bucks to buy the next season.
Yeah, I believe that they loop into each other usually.
Yeah, so if that's the case, and I can just kind of keep doing that and having fun with my friends, I'll be fine with that.
Just, when you're at work and you're just like, hey, Owen, just play on my account for a little bit, and then you can earn you battle pass points.
Yeah. So I'm going to try it on my phone and see.
Yeah.
I have a couple controllers that hook to my phone. Or I've been talking about, I might take my ROG Ally to work and connect it to the Wi-Fi and see how that works. My store Wi-Fi is probably not great, but I am supposed to take this long lunch every day, and I don't know. We'll see. I probably won't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, that's playing and watching. Missed the Lions game on Saturday because they moved it to Saturday night, and I was at the comedy show. And then Sunday, I was just a lazy lump. I just had my sweatpants on and a t-shirt on and turned NFL Red Zone on and did not get off the couch.
You know what? Sometimes you need that. Sometimes it is necessary.
7 hours of commercial-free, nothing but important plays in the NFL without a Lions game that day. I think I fell asleep for 45 minutes, an hour. Didn't even
nice. All right, so Dave, for me, still haven't touched Avatar. Sorry, that's a battle I'm playing mentally of just don't like those type of games. Don't really know too much about Avatar, so it's been on a back burner.
Not missing much, man. It's not holding me either.
So. But the thing that is holding me is the finals. So the finals is the free-to-play game that came out a couple weeks ago. I think the day of the Game Awards. So this is a 3v3v3v3 game. Where
say it again.
Where the objective is basically to cash in money that you get from killing opponents, and also from vaults that have countdown timers that spawn randomly on the map. So basically, you get the money, and then you bring it to basically an ATM to deposit the funds, and that's how you score the money. There's a lot of strategy to go in with it in terms of just if you pick off opponents, you can get some money, but you want to make the plays for the vaults that have a larger amount of money. But that also, so
it's objective based, not kill based.
Yeah, exactly. You can squeak in some points from kills, but it's more worth it to go after these vaults, which means you kind of have to work with people and strategize a little bit in terms of just, how are we're going to go for that vault. It's going to take, 10 seconds for it to unlock. And then we're just going to have to
Is it kind of like capture the flag? Two people protect the dude?
Yeah, that's how you can do it. Though I've won a couple games by just being okay, everyone's going to go for the big vaults because there could be multiple vaults open at one time. To where it's okay, some people are going for the 10K vaults. I'm just going to go pick off these 3 to 5K ones and then bank them in while everyone's fighting. So there's a lot of strategy with that. But because it's just,
nice.
You only have 2 other teammates on you. It's just, 3 people on your team. You want to work together in terms of coming up with the strategy and, kind of balance your classes a little bit in terms of, there's a light, medium, heavy, and they each have different guns, a light gun, regular machine gun, and then the heavies have sledgehammers and
nice,
just gigantic guns that can do crazy damage, and also they're a tank basically, so they can take a little bit more damage.
I need to download this game.
Yeah, and the cool thing is there's all the levels seem almost fully destructible to where whole buildings can be knocked down, and there have been moments where you're in a building doing a deposit and then just the roof collapses and then you and the vault kind of just drop down a couple levels. So there's a lot of chaos that can happen, especially if there's a lot of heavies in the map, because it's easier for them to just break walls and roofs down, as opposed to if you're not a heavy, then grenades can do the work. But there's a lot of destructibility to where towards the end of a match, depending on how chaotic the game decided to drop vaults and deposit boxes, you can have a map that several buildings are just completely crushed and things are inaccessible.
Are you talking like Battlefield destruction or like Rainbow Six destruction?
No, like whole buildings can collapse. So
Okay,
like
so like
Battlefield,
Battlefield
yeah.
destruction.
So I've seen
Okay.
like whole buildings just pretty much collapsed. And I'm enjoying it. There's only 2 modes currently, and there's also like tournaments that you can join for like, you know, ranked play. But the 2 modes are pretty similar, except how many teams are involved. I think the one mode is like, you know, 3v3, v3, and then the other one's 4 teams of 3. And just kind of how they,
This is all PvP.
yes, it's all PvP.
How are the microtransactions?
They're not too bad. Like, it's all cosmetics. Like, for the most part, when you're leveling,
Is there a season pass or?
yeah, there's a season pass. So, and it's the typical like $10, maybe $11 for the season pass. I haven't been quite interested enough to.
That was my next question. Is it grabbing you enough to drop some dollars?
The game's grabbed me enough to play every night. It hasn't.
Okay.
I don't really care about the cosmetics. Like, I've seen them; they look okay. They do have a little tuxedo cat that can be on your shoulder, and I do have a kitten. So I'm like kind of tempted at that. But I'll see if I can earn enough currency over the next couple weeks to get it. But yeah, I've just been mostly kind of soloing by playing with randoms, just as I get a feel for the game. And that can be frustrating a little bit based on like just trying to get people to work together. But for the most part, the games don't last super long, so it's not like that frustrating. It's not like playing randoms with Overwatch in a game takes a half hour to finish. Like, games maybe 10, 15 minutes if like they're highly competitive. But
cool.
Just enjoying the hell out of that, dealing with the destructibility. Like, the gameplay loop is simple, but it's really entertaining in terms of just like trying to scout where vaults are, or the drops are, and then trying to get them to the deposit box. And there's like little cool things that it didn't dawn on me until like a couple days of playing, of just like, hey, if someone throws gas bombs as like a trap to prevent you from like depositing money, if you have a flamethrower or if you have a pyro grenade, that kills the fog or the gas.
Okay.
So there's like some counter stuff.
So there's counters. Yeah, that's nice.
So
so there's some tactics to it as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. And just like if you throw a smoke grenade, you can get rid of fires. And that just leads to tactical thing, because I didn't start developing defenses until like recently, where like I happen to notice a deposit box right there. I don't have any money to deposit in it, but I might as well throw some landmines on it. So if the other team does try and cash in, I could just hopefully kill them, pick up their currency, and then easily deposit.
Do you see this game having legs, or is it a flash in the pan?
I think it could potentially have legs. Like, there's an okay map like rotation currently, so as long as they can hit that like freshness, they should be good. It could probably use like 1 or 2 additional modes, but for something that was put out around the holidays, I think there's enough for it to survive like a season.
They kind of drop it and walk away and come back from break and be like, all right, let's check the account. Oh, okay, let's keep going.
That's basically what they're gonna have to hope for, because like I think there's enough with the gameplay loop right now that it should last people a couple weeks, maybe a month or 2. They do.
Nobody look at the bank account until Martin Luther King Day, and then that'll be the day we decide if we're gonna do it or not.
Basically, they're kind of having problems with cheaters right now currently.
Yep.
Most free to play games will have that problem. I haven't run into it too much, but like if you're playing crossplay.
Well, and if there's not enough at stake to care, like like to your point, like all right, so it's like, how long does a game last? One match,
10, 15 minutes maybe, if it's competitive.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's annoying. Like if you get somebody, but then you just back out of the lobby. Hey, I'm gonna go grab a snack real quick, rematch make, and just you roll your dice again.
And from what I've seen, most of the cheating's happening in the rank play. So if you're just playing like casual, like I am, like it's fine.
Yeah,
like it's not too bad.
That's great. It's on the big 3. It's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, right?
Yeah, and it's cross-play, so everything seems to be working fine with that. There is some glitches I've noticed, like sometimes, like I feel like the input will freeze up a little bit, and I've had the game crash once or twice. But it's not happening too often that it is like a crazy problem. But when it does crash, I'm
This is a full release too, right? Like this is not still beta or alpha.
no,
like,
as far as I
the
know,
game.
this is a full game unless they pull a multiverses thing and tell everyone after 3 months.
And they haven't talked about roadmap or
I believe
like,
they
do we
put
know, like,
something out like this is a season. So there is some sort
of... So it has an end date?
I believe so, unless, again,
have they
the multiverses.
talked about any kind of events? Is it Christmas Eve themed right now? Or
no,
is it
nothing like that. It's just pretty pretty basic stuff right now.
Because, I mean, I got a feeling, man, if they put that tuxedo cat with a Santa hat on it,
the tuxedo hat is currently wearing an aluminum foil hat because it's a conspiracy kitty, I believe is what they call it. So... stupid shit like that might be able to get me to throw $10 at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it seems like this is like the perfect like holiday break game for me, even though I don't really have a holiday break. But
nice.
It's one of those things where it's just like this could catch on enough because of when it was released to where the people that are on a holiday break could carry it for the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you are playing the finals, please join our Discord and post some stuff in there, and maybe we can get some teams to group up. If you're playing Fortnite still, I know a couple people in Discord have said they are. Like, we'll see if we can make a night out of it. I think the most people can play Fortnite is 4, and then I think you said 3s. It's trios for the finals, right? Yeah. So it's definitely, especially with the crossplay. If you don't know how to link your Discord to your Xbox and your PlayStation, it's super easy. And it works really well. It does work well. So, all right. You watch anything or play anything else?
No, not really. It's just been the finals and getting sleep. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome. All right. So one of my challenges that I would love to have for the community going into 2024 is this is the last time we're recording in 2023. Is I would love for you guys to ask more questions. So we can actually have a true segment of that. You can post them in Ask Digital Days channel in our Discord server, or you can put them right on the Facebook group. You reply to tweets, and we see them and we catch them, and they don't have to be gaming related. They can be if you're listening to, like, it's December, it's the middle of December right now. It's a week before Christmas. If you're listening to this in February or March, just ask the question. We'll circle back to what we said. If we're completely wrong, if we find out that something by the time you're listening to this, if Suicide Squad is hot garbage or if it's a Game of the Year contender, like, call us out on it. Let's talk about it. Like it doesn't really matter the time frame. Don't feel bad that you're behind. We know people are behind. We can see the data that shows that people are behind. And we're gonna just keep doing weekly content as much as we can. And we're here whenever you guys are ready and you want to listen. But we would love to a little bit more community interaction, a little bit more feedback. Please consider joining the Discord and then say something in the Discord. Michael's in there more than I am. And I try to pop in there as much as I can when there's things that are timely and relevant. But I would love to just see a couple parties going on in there, or just somebody just like, hey, 8:00 at night on a Tuesday night, hey, I'm gonna jump on and play Fortnite. Anybody want to play? If we got to make specific channels, please ask, and we can do that. If you don't play Fortnite, you don't want to see that in the general channel, I'll make a separate one. If we need to make a finals one, I'll make a finals one.
We might have to retire the Rainbow Six channel and the Division 2 channel.
Yep, that's fine. Maybe just call them games as a service or something like that. But I mean, like the voice channels aren't named.
Yeah, the voice channels are always available.
Yeah, so we can, if we need to make more, like, I would love to make more. I would love to, like, you guys to be like, hey, I somebody messaged me, I will immediately make another voice channel for you. If there's 12 people in there and you guys want to be in 4 different channels, I'll make it that minute. Yep. But please consider just kind of joining the community, hanging out with us, trying to interact, not just necessarily with me and Michael. There are some awesome people in our community that play games, and games that we don't play that you play, like, or and if I see a bunch of, like, I'm number one for peer pressure, man. If I see a whole bunch of people playing stuff, I'll be like, hey, what's the big deal about this? And then I'll just get it.
Yeah.
So other than that, the last time we're recording in 2023, I hope everyone has a great holiday, has an awesome new year. We'll be back like the second week of January. We'll do our year in review, and a look ahead. Typically, I think our cadence has been look ahead and game of the year in the same episode, so we kind of break that into 2, or do we do 3 separate ones?
The year looking back and the year ahead is 1 episode, and then game of the year is usually standalone, depending on like what we're looking at.
Yeah. So, all right. I really appreciate everyone listening to us in 2023, and like I just said, like, have a great holiday, have a great new year, and we'll talk to you guys next year. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.